Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Sitting out here in the garage, I just uploaded some waypoints that I downloaded from Google Earth for a head-to-head tournament tomorrow that Hank and I are fishing. Been running around like a banshee with my head cut off, and we're going to a lake that I've never fished before. I know literally nothing about it. So this morning, Hank and I downloaded a few waypoints. So I figured I would pull them up, put them into the graph, and kind of just walk you through some of the things that are of interest to me. I haven't really looked at anything on it other than maybe an hour's worth of Google Earth this morning. Don't know much about the lake. Kind of exciting, kind of scary when you think about the fact that we're going up against some really good teams that probably have a little bit of experience on the lake. I don't even know if it's primarily a largemouth fishery or smallmouth fishery. From the research, again, that I've done this morning, which basically entails Google searching tournament results, the pictures I've seen look like it's primarily largemouth, but it looks like there's smallmouth to be had as well. So I just pulled them in, and I just plugged them into the old Lowrance graph here, and this is high falls flowage. So a couple of things that I marked on here. So let's just give you a quick rundown of what I do know about the lake. I mean, it's a river system, so there is a river that flows in. It looks like we can get up to probably about right here. There's a dam here, but this is kind of, this Peshtigo River is kind of rapidy. And based on the mapping, it looks like we don't have much from a mapping standpoint on the CMAP chip. I'm going to switch it over and just see if the Navionics chip I plugged in has anything more. And let's see. It does not look like it. Oh, I got to turn this graph on. That's why it's not registering. So we'll have to give this a minute to take a look at it because my chip is in that graph right here. So let's let this load up. So a couple of things anytime I'm approaching a lake like this that interest me. Generally speaking, I would much rather go up the river system. I feel like the river system is where you have your current, where the fish are starting to set up. And from that standpoint, it's something that is very interesting to me. It really sets the fish up, positions them very well. And here you go, you can see it. Now, I will say, if I zoom up, let's see what it looks like. So we don't even have the river section on here, this map. It's got docks, but it doesn't have, let's see, actually, let's go to chart options. Maybe we can, so, not right now. So we do have it, but it's the same thing. Very, just not set up well. And it's kind of interesting to me that in this case, I generally like, if you come over, this is one thing a lot of people don't realize. When you pull up, say, your Navionics chip, a lot of times you can get a better picture if you go over and add, where are you? Sonar chart. You can see how that got more detailed. If I turn it off, it's not nearly as detailed. In this case, sonar chart, so sonar chart's almost always better, but it actually stops, which is interesting to me. So I'm going to go back, though. I actually prefer using my CMAP. So we're going to switch over to CMAP. One of the reasons I like the CMAP so much more is because I can color change it, and we've talked about that on the channel. But so to give you a little bit more, just my thought process on this, I feel like it's a better largemouth fishery. Generally speaking, on river systems in my neck of the woods, the lower end is going to be better for largemouth. The upper end is going to be better for smallmouth. There are a lot of fisheries, though, in the area where your middle zone is going to be your best for largemouth, and the smallmouth, you know, start in the middle zone and usually go up north. Now, in this case, because I know the Peshtigo's got decent water flow, I would think that the smallmouth are going to be in the top half. Now, knowing that the smallmouth are not as big of a player, from what I've heard, I think largemouth is going to be the better way to go. Now, the issue I have with largemouth And generally speaking, what I'm going to be looking for are areas that I know the largemouth are going to concentrate and they're going to spawn. So when I look at this, there's definitely a large finger. I mean, it's a large portion of the bottom part of the lake is a very shallow flat. I know that this is weed filled based on looking at the Google Earth, lots of pads, lots of grass. I mean, it doesn't look like it's deeper than 10 feet for the primary area. One thing I did notice when looking at the Google Earth, when I looked at the map, the grass on the aerial photos, there were a lot of holes. It almost looked like this is an area that's got springs in it. It was just very circular holes in the grass. So I marked some of them just to give me an idea. Now we're going to have an hour to run around and look at this lake before we have to actually make our first cast. So head-to-head fishing, we're fishing against one other team. It's going to be a match style format, but we have an hour to drive around, take a look at the lake first, and we're going to utilize that very, very good. So I'm going to come, this is one area I'm going to come and check. For all I know, it's not springs, it's just, I don't know, they were weird photos potentially, but we're going to come check this whole area out. The problem I have with this area, which hence is called Bass Bay, it looks like, it's all grass. They can be really hard to break down, but I do think there'll be a good population of fish there. And then if I look at the map, this is another area that was very weedy and weed filled. And then if I come up here, this was the last area. And then you get too far up into the river section. So those are the areas I think are primarily going to be the best for largemouth, as well as some of these little fingers that come off that are generally more creek related, but those can be really good in Wisconsin. I think it's going to be, from a largemouth standpoint, I think the water's going to be a little bit more stained. So you're generally looking at from the weed line shallower. So it's probably going to be 8 foot, 10 foot is going to be your outside weed line. And there were some really nice weed lines like in this area right here. There were some nice weed lines up in this area that could be worth concentrating on. The problem with weed fish in a 4-hour tournament that you on a lake you've never fished before, really hard to find those sweet spots. So we're going to be looking for isolated things within the grass. So some of the things we marked from aerial photos that I downloaded in. So there was a rock pile in the weeds here, 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 here. Those are going to be potentially key little sweet spots. There was another one up here that we saw. So we're going to check those out in our ride around. And then some of these little fingers, like I mentioned, these are going to be prime little spots that we're going to concentrate on. Now, that's the largemouth. Now, from a bait standpoint, you're talking wacky worms, you're talking the Ozark rig, you're talking potentially heavy Texas rig for punching, frogs, topwaters, pretty straightforward, classic power fishing for bass. So there's 2 areas for smallmouth. You get your lower lake and you get more of the river section that's going to be driven by current. So if we're talking river, any of your channel swing pinch points like this are going to be key spots. Any place you have a point that sticks out, any place you have a channel swing, you should have current that clips that. Most of these points look like they have rocks on them. That's what's been marked, there's the little stars. And as you go up the river section, I'd be concentrating on pinch points and channel swing banks. So a little swing there, a swing here, and as you go up further, you really narrow down into the river. So to me, that's really what I'd be concentrating on. And you can get up to about this point. So you're gonna have your current flow, your strongest current, you're gonna have more hard bottom. A lot of your summer smallmouth will go up that river. I just don't think the smallmouth population is great out here. And then the other portion of the smallmouth that's of interest to me is when you come on the lower section, a lot of these lakes and reservoirs have a population of smallmouth that like to live in proximity to your deep water. These are more lake fish versus river fish. They still will like current flow, but when you get down into this section, there's not going to be nearly as much current, but they're going to relate to a lot of these steep breaks and points. So like here, you know, here, there's just a lot of Canadian rock, kind of Canadian Shield rock areas along these islands, you know, where you have any place where that old river channel comes and bops up against it, like there, down here. These are going to be areas where I definitely could see throwing a topwater bait, potentially coming in contact with largemouth as well as smallmouth. So that interests me in terms of if I'm fishing largemouth, I can quickly bop in and out versus having to run all the way up the lake to find the current. You know, like all these points have rock on them. These are all going to be places you could definitely find some smallmouth where a topwater bait could be really good. I'm not going to pull off the bank and do any deep fishing. I just don't, in 4 hours, I don't feel like that's going to be the way to go, especially on a lake where I don't think the population of smallmouth is real good. I think the idea of hitting shallow stuff with, say, a topwater or burning a spinnerbait, something like that, gives you a better opportunity to catch largemouth as well as smallmouth that are mixed in. So our plan of attack, based off of this morning, is to really check out some of these areas like here and up here where we've marked some stuff that looks like it could be rock piles within the grass. If they are, that's probably going to be the type of stuff we start on. But I think there's a good chance that they're not going to be, that they're going to be too shallow. They're just not going to set up the way I want. So that may not work. At that point, then we'll probably go and explore some of these shallower fingers off the lake. These can be really good type of areas that concentrate largemouth. Maybe not the biggest largemouth in the lake, but we're fishing in numbers format. So we're going to check that stuff out. If that doesn't look any good, we're probably going to switch over and start really concentrating on our current pinch point areas like down here, up here, and really start to concentrate more on what could be more smallmouth related areas that might still be in areas from here south downstream that have a better largemouth population. Because in some instances, like I mentioned earlier, the largemouth are actually going to be more mid-lake versus down on the lower end. If they're more mid-lake, this is going to be the prime strike zone. And if you've got good current pinch points in this area, that's also where you're going to find your smallmouth or some of your smallmouth population. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how this goes. We're actually getting a hotel room tonight. The lake's about 2.5 hours from the house, so we're gonna be there at 5:30. I'm not getting Hankster behind me up at whatever that would be, 2 o'clock to get up and out of here. So we're gonna go probably get a hotel room somewhere in that part of the state tonight and see how this goes. I really don't have high expectations. I'm excited to fish the lake because it's a new body of water, one I've never seen before. We'll see how it goes. So I assume by the time you guys watch this, we'll already know the outcome, but it should be a lot of fun. So why don't you join us? I'll probably do a recap video as well, kind of let you know how it went. I don't think the weights are going to be off the charts. My guess is if you can catch 7 or 8 legals, that could be way off base, but 7 or 8 legals in the 4-hour period, 4-hour tournament, I think you're going to be in really good shape. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but I think that's our goal. 1 fish every half hour. If we lose and catch 8 legals, I'll feel good about how the day went still. But what do you think, Hank?
Good, but I think it's going to be like 15 fish.
15 fish, Hank's saying. So almost 1 every 15 minutes. That would be really good. But you never know. Anyways, hopefully this kind of gave you an idea as to my thought process. We'll let you know if it pans out for us or not. But I'm excited to see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. Stay tuned. New video coming out tomorrow.